Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and I've got a question. Do you care about esports? Or, more specifically, do you care about Overwatch Esports? Go into the comments now and let me know if you do care and why you do, and if you don't care, and well, why you don't care, ladies and gentlemen. So, there's been a lot of interesting discussion recently, especially because of the whole voting system for the Overwatch World Cup, which is now eligible, and you can go and vote for people that you would like to see on your team's committee. But before we get into detail on that, because it is kind of complicated, but I will explain how that is supposed to work, really, and how it appears to work, because it is something I need to shed some light on, really. But the question is, do you care about esports? I mean, I'm coming off the back of recording this video after watching Kongdu Panthera against Lunatic High in the Apex Season 3, the very first game. Of course, Lunatic High are the champions from Season 2, so it's like, you know, you'd expect them to do well. Do they do well? I don't really want to spoil it because, well, I know the result now. But yeah, very interesting. They're also running triple DPS against Kongdu Panthera in quite a lot of their games, which again is very interesting for Lunatic High because generally they're more dive comp orientated. In fact, you could say Lunatic High are the best at dive comp, especially with Miro, who is literally the best Winston there is, and then you've got like Rouge Hong, who is the best Anna. So yeah, but anyway, that probably doesn't mean a lot to you guys, does it? And that's going to serve its purpose in this video, because I know for a fact, you can tell based off viewing figures, that not a lot of people actually watch the current Overwatch Esports. I mean, the stream I was watching today from OGN Global, which is the Korean esports organization, I think it had 12,000 viewers on it. That's not particularly great for a game the size of Overwatch. You'd expect it to have more. Now, of course, that's what Overwatch League is supposed to fix when it comes in with all of the professional setups, with the professional teams, professional contracts, all the professional infrastructure provided by Blizzard, and it should be a massive spectacle, and I can't wait to see the Overwatch League. Now, what do we know about Blizzard? Well, we know Blizzard really like esports. All of their games, and sometimes they kind of do force it a little bit, have to have some sort of esports component. Look at StarCraft 2. They basically invented esports with StarCraft, Brood War actually, not StarCraft 2. With Brood War, they basically invented esports, right? So that was probably the first time where people started watching competitive gaming. Became very big in Korea, and even to this day, like, you know, any of you guys follow that scene, people like Flash are like esports gods. You know, then you go a little bit further forward and you look at people like Faker from League of Legends, who is probably the most well-known esports player out there. A lot of them are Korean. I mean, Faker and Flash are obviously Korean because that's sort of the birthplace of esports in a sense. Now, it's not because esports events were held around the world in different places, but Korea really embraced the whole sort of competitive gaming thing years before anybody else did. Anyway, this means Blizzard basically had the game which kickstarted esports. So they've got StarCraft. So from that, they've sort of really tried to foster esports growth. I mean, you look at World of Warcraft. There are World of Warcraft arena tournaments and stuff like that, which I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft. Everybody used to play a lot of World of Warcraft. I never watched those because they were really boring to watch, because World of Warcraft is not really a spectator's sport. So there was issues with that. Then you look at things like Warcraft 3, again, you know, that was awesome. Then you had StarCraft 2, which again had a pretty good scene, although that is slightly going down a little bit recently. And then you've got their new bait, well, then you've got Hearthstone as well, and you've got Heroes of the Storm, and then you've got the new one, Overwatch. Now, all of these games have all got esports scenes, but Overwatch is going to have massive investment. They're going to try and really push this, so it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But the question is this, do they really need to do this for all of their games? And is Overwatch even an esport? You asked me the question, yeah, it is, right? Overwatch is an esport. It's my favourite thing to watch, but again, I'm quite biased. I mean, think about me, think about my life, think about what I do, right? I watch Overwatch. I play Overwatch, I make videos on Overwatch, and then I go to sleep. And then I play Overwatch, I make videos on Overwatch. You see where this is going, right? So my life revolves around Overwatch. I do like live the Overwatch life in a way. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll notice I put pictures out like of my setup when I'm watching all the various competitions. I think I was watching the Overwatch Pit, and I was like, yo, check it out, man. I'm watching all of this stuff, and you know, things like the monthly melee and all of that stuff, the Alienware thing. So there's a lot of like, my viewpoint can be a little bit biased, but I enjoy the esports side of Overwatch. So let's talk about the World Cup, because this is where a lot of this discussion is kind of coming from. So the way this works is I think there are 10 people you can pick from. You get 3 votes. Everybody gets a vote. And what it says on the page is you are voting for your team's committee, which then selects the team, right? which is not entirely accurate. And this is not how it should have been worded, really, and it's created a lot of confusion, and rightfully so. You imagine if you actually are a pro coach, or you actually are a pro player with the ability to set up a team. Now, you've got to remember, the ability to create teams and play in teams is completely different. It's why you have, you look at other sports, you look at football, you've got managers, you've got coaches, then you've got players. Not every player makes a good coach, and that always works. But the fact is, there are a lot of decent coaches out there already, especially within the UK region. Teams like E-United and Ex-Cyclone have got fantastic coaches. That would be awesome for the Overwatch World Cup team. However, the way they've worded it is vote for who you want to vote for, right? And they will form the team. So rightfully so, you get a lot of reaction off those people who have invested their lives into the esports sort of area of Overwatch, who are starting to think what's going on here? This random YouTuber is going to get put in front of me, which isn't fair, and it totally isn't. But that's not how this is supposed to work. This is supposed to be marrying the two communities together. So you get the Overwatch content creators and you get the Overwatch esports guys. You bring them together, they work together, and then we have a nice sort of exhibition, esportsy style tournament. Yes, it's a serious tournament, but it's not this is ultra high level pro play. So it's sort of a gateway for casual viewers, or not even casual viewers, a gateway for people that don't really enjoy esports to kind of step into it and watch a little bit of it through their favourite content creators. But that's not really made clear. This is where a lot of the confusion comes from. See, in my head, the committee should just be the mascots for the team. They're not really going to be involved in the team as such. They're not going to be making decisions, because all the committee would do would go and select people from various other teams who are capable of setting up the teams, and then let them control it, while the content creators are just sort of producing content on the World Cup and sort of showing it off that way. But it looks like a lot of wires have been crossed, and it's ended up with this situation where people seem to think that the community creators like myself, like Overwatch Central, like One Amongst Many, and people like that are just going to use their audiences to sort of rig the vote, which is not right, because that's not our fault, and it's basically Blizzard's fault for not properly conveying what it's supposed to be. I mean, another idea I had would be they should probably have broke the voting down into maybe 3 sections. This would have made more sense. So what they should have done is, if you looked at one content creator, so you had a vote for a content creator, a vote for a coach, and a vote for a pro player sort of analyst or whatever, which you could bring those 3 together. They could be the committee, and then the team gets selected, and off you go. You've got the best of both worlds. One thing is for sure though, this World Cup setup is definitely a much better setup than it was last year. The problem with last year is, everybody laughed at Muse out with Australia, and I suffered a bit of this as well with the UK, and there were other people, I think there was Alpha from France as well, where we are content creators, right? Which means, yes, we're okay at the game. Look at me. I have an account in Grandmaster. I've got a 4.2k rated DPS account on basically Soldier 76, right? I've got 3 other accounts that are all in High Master. That's me. But the thing is, guys, that is not a pro gamer. A pro gamer is top 500, the top of top 500, and playing on a completely different planet. That is not me. So when you put me in a team with the pro gamers, I'm absolutely terrible, and I will throw the game. And that's what happened, right? Me and Josh that were involved in the 2016 World Cup, which it was an awesome thing to be involved in it. It was not great for us because we're out of our depth. We are taking up slots that other people probably should have. But the idea at the time was, again, Blizzard's idea of trying to bring together these two communities, this very sort of the content creator orientated audience, and then the pro gamer audience, by putting the pros in with the content creators. But the problem is, certain countries were just completely pros, which again is kind of still the issue with this World Cup, where you get countries which have very big content creators like the UK, like the United States, where maybe some of their pros don't get a chance to get voted in because a result of that. However, this time around, what they've done with the voting is better, because the people who you vote for, so that would mean the content creators, won't be in the team, which is fine. Yeah, I love to be part of the Overwatch United Kingdom World Cup team, but I'm not going to play. There's no way on this earth I could play anyway, and I wouldn't anyway if they said to me, do you want to play in the team? There's no chance. What I want to do is be there to cover it for you guys. But what is not made clear from the voting page is, once the committee is selected, the committee will then just pick coaches that will then pick players. That's basically how this works. But a lot of people are under the assumption that I'm just going to go away and start selecting players. Yeah, I've got a knowledge of the UK scene, and I guess this is the same for the other people that are involved in the voting, and the same for people in other countries as well. Like I said, the United States will probably suffer from this as well. But putting them together, knowing who's friends with who can work with who, is a completely different ballgame, and that's where you need to take expert advice. That is why I think it is a little bit strange at the moment, the way that this World Cup voting has sort of been worded on that page, because I'm not going to tell you guys who to vote for. Vote for whoever the hell you like, but just remember this: the committee members will not be playing in the team. So don't think I'll be playing in the team if you vote for me, right? I won't be, and that's right. It should be like that. Instead, I'm just like a mascot for the team. That's the only thing I ever wanted to be anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Overwatch Esports is a very detailed subject, and it's something that I'd like to do more content on, especially with the Overwatch League starting to fire up, we hope, in the next couple of months. So that should be quite interesting, because who really knows, like, the sky can be the limit. I really enjoy watching this game. I think it's so interesting. I think there are problems with the spectator tool, which I know Blizzard know are problems, and they are working on fixing, because it is a very fast-paced game, isn't it, Overwatch? If you're not a fan of the game, you probably won't understand what the hell Genji is doing flying all over the screen, or at least that's what it looks like to you. So yeah, there are a lot of issues. Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I think there's going to be some awesome responses to this video, and yeah, I can't wait to see them. You can follow me, guys, on Twitter, which is @UniLostGaming, and I will catch you on the next one, my friends. Toodaloo.